Hey everybody, welcome into the Spread, NESN.com's football picks podcast. I am NESN.com's Mike Cole, joined as always by my friends Ricky Doyle and Andre Khachaturian, also of NESN.com fame. Gentlemen, how are we doing?
Very good. This is the time we identify ourselves. I'm Andre Khachaturian.
This is me. This is Ricky.
Ricky Doyle.
Yeah,
cool.
The other guy.
We can see ourselves now. I don't know why I keep doing this every week. I'll stop next week.
Well,
I always forget that we can see ourselves.
I think it's more natural if you have no idea. Like, I don't know. I like
It's
the,
good, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Colin Cowherd show.
Yeah, it's just like
It's
a
nice.
simulcast.
Put a
Sure.
face to a name, for better or worse.
Yep. So as always, we're gonna go through we're here to make picks, basically. We're here to make against the spread picks for this week's NFL slate. We'll make our top 3 picks, or the 3 best games of the week, which is once again a struggle. We're in a little bit of a dead time here in the NFL season.
A lot of bye weeks.
Yeah, we're getting the bye weeks.
We can't talk about the Chargers this week. They're bye.
Thank God. And there's some games too this week on the calendar. I will say there are some games that we looked at it earlier in the season, or the beginning of the season. They look like much better games than they're going to turn out to be. So a bit of an issue at the time. But we'll pick the 3 best games of the weekend. We'll also do locks and upsets. Once again, all these picks against the spreads. And we're getting those lines and spreads from our friends at oddshark.com. Make sure you check out Oddshark for all of your sports betting needs and wants, desires, dreams, whatever it may be. Oddshark has you covered. They do great work over there, so go check them out. Follow them on the database. I was pouring through the database for some stuff this week as well. One note I just mentioned to you guys, this is crazy. I mean, before we get into it, 14 points is it up to now on Monday night? We will not be talking about this game. It's not one of the best games of the weekend, but the Patriots on the road are 14-point favorites against the Buffalo Bills. I will be starting for the Buffalo Bills at quarterback, so I might want to lay the points with
I can
the
safely
Patriots.
say that was one that never really had potential. Though.
No. Yes, that was not one of the...
that wasn't one that has changed over the course of the season.
No, that is not.
The Bills were a playoff team last year, though.
Which is incredible.
Which is,
But
and they always seem to play tough at home, but the Patriots have beaten the hell out of them up there quite a few times.
Yeah.
They've got it figured out against other teams.
Yeah.
But
What were they thinking with that scheduling?
I
Yeah,
know.
they were a playoff team, and they were Andy Dalton, Miracle, getting them in there.
I know.
Then they were just incredibly.
I will
they
say,
just got worse over the offseason.
it is a bummer that Josh Allen's hurt, because I think it'd be a cool spot. Like, if this Buffalo team had any sort of momentum,
You love Josh Allen.
No, I don't love Josh Allen, but I'd rather watch Josh Allen, stumble around the field and watch Nathan Peterman or Derek Anderson. If you're
high
gonna suck,
ceiling,
at
low
least
floor, and it's the entertainment value.
Yeah,
is
right.
Be there for whichever way it goes.
Right. So and I could see. So I guess to answer your question, I could see like a little bit of excitement with that.
Yeah, maybe.
A Monday night primetime game at Orchard Park's kind of cool, but those people are gonna have all day to drink, so that's gonna be pray for the tables.
And let's go to the standings from last week, Week 7 standings. I went 7-6-1. Ricky, you went 6-7-1. Mike, you went 5-8-1. Total standings, I am in first place with 51 wins. Ricky and Mike in second place with 49 wins. Tyrod Taylor, very underappreciated human being.
Yeah.
Took the Bills to the playoffs.
Sure.
And now they're averaging fewer than 4 yards per play, which, it's bad.
Yeah.
I
I don't think that's the only issue for them, but
do think it's interesting to note that
I like
Their
Tyrod
defense
Taylor.
is decent.
I just zoned out, but I will say I just want to make these couple points. I forget where I got these, but I had a bad week last week. Obviously, I've been going against the public a lot this year. That was a bad strategy this past week. NFL teams receiving 60% or more of the spread tickets went 6-1 against the spread last week. So the sportsbooks took a beating. The home dog thing that started to reverse course. Home underdogs 1-5 against the spread last week. There were a lot of them too. Obviously 6 of them. So things are starting to even out. A good week for the recreational bettors. A bad week for the sportsbook, which means sportsbooks are going to try to get it back this week with a lot of big spreads. So that's something to keep in mind. One game, not a big spread, which will start Sunday afternoon. I guess we can call this a potential playoff preview, which is crazy.
When I first saw that we were going to discuss this game, I kind of rolled my eyes a little bit.
Yeah, and I made sure to put the...
I looked and I'm like, this is probably one of the better games, but still, it doesn't tickle my fancy.
Yeah, I made sure to put the standings in my notes this week. So we get the Seattle Seahawks going to Detroit to take on the Lions. The Lions are 3-point favorites. Seattle 3-3, second in the NFC West. Detroit 3-3, which is tied for third in the NFC North, but they've got a game in hand on the Packers after beating the Packers a couple weeks ago. So this game does have playoff implications. As it stands right now, the total sits at 49.5. And it looks like 54% of the bets have come in on Seattle so far, so right around 50-50, not a ton of line movement. Seattle coming off the bye, which they are 4-3-1 after the bye under Pete Carroll. That's against the spread, if I'm not mistaken. So about 500 there. I don't know. Well, let's get into it a little bit further. Ricky, where do you stand on this one?
I'm going to go against the public on this one. I'm going to take the Lions. Coming off really, I guess, a perfect performance from a Lions standpoint. If they're going to, piece together a win. You had Matthew Stafford playing mistake-free football. The defense being good enough, and they're actually running the football this year, which is a weird development. I feel like for as long as I can remember, you've never seen a Lions team be able to run the football, but they're doing it this year. Kerryon Johnson solidifying himself as that lead back in Detroit. So I think these teams are kind of similar.
Yeah.
But I trust the Lions' rushing attack more than I do Seattle's rushing attack. I think there's still a little inconsistency there.
Definitely, yeah.
Still trying to figure out who's getting the ball X number of times. And then just defensively, I feel like the Lions are going to be able to put some pressure on Russell Wilson. They've gotten after the quarterback this year. The Seahawks, 30th in opponent sack percentage, so obviously those offensive line issues are well documented. You can argue whether it's because Russell Wilson is constantly scrambling around, sort of impacting the numbers a little bit, but I do think the Lions will be able to put some pressure on him and ultimately win this at home.
Okay. You talk about the Lions' pressure getting into quarterbacks. I agree with you. What are they? Lead the league in sack percentage. So that's very shocking to me.
They're in the NFL, 21 sacks.
You look at the Seahawks offensive line. We keep talking about how much they stink, though. Last 4 weeks, they've been good. They've only allowed 7 sacks compared in the last 4 games the Seahawks have. The first 2 games, they allowed 12 sacks. And these are against some pretty decent pass rushes the Seahawks went up against. They went up against the Rams, Cowboys, and Cardinals. 3 teams in the top 12 in sacks. And the Lions are number 1 in sack percentage. But I could see Russell Wilson getting some protection in this game. You got 2 evenly matched teams. I'm going to take the points. I'm going to take the Seahawks. When Russell Wilson is kept clean, his completion percentage is 37 points higher than when he's pressured. His passer rating is, what's 23 plus 8? 15. 38 points higher when he's kept clean.
Yeah, the one. Yeah.
When Russell Wilson's kept clean, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And we talked about the last 4 games when his line has kept him clean. Russell Wilson, 68%. 8 touchdowns, 1 pick, 116 passer rating, and he's only been pressured on 31% of dropbacks, which is, I believe it was like 25th or 26th. I think the same thing happens this week. I'm getting the points with the Seahawks, and with 2 evenly matched teams, I'll take Seattle.
I mean, you can go either way with that, right?
Yeah.
Like you could say, you could take the evenly matched up teams and take the home team.
Well, yeah, I'm getting points with the Seahawks.
I understand.
You get. Yeah, I guess you're right. You're getting the home team. But
Right. I mean, Vegas is basically saying that these are very either the same team. Yeah, I will. I'll also take the Lions. I'm with Ricky on this one. It really comes down to the running game. I do think that was an interesting little wrinkle. I think that kind of fits.
Huge.
Fits more with what like a Matt Patricia team, which you would expect them to be. So I think that's a positive development for them. 5.3 yards per carry over the last 3 games. That's tied for 4th overall in the entire league. Obviously aided by some big plays last week. Seattle 25th against the run this season, allowing 4.7 yards per carry. So I like that little thing. I don't know. Detroit seems like a team that's still kind of trying to find its way, but I think they're probably going to end up playing a lot better at home, despite the fact that they're coming off a road win last week. So yeah, it's just, I don't know. Again, we're talking about a game between 2 pedestrian teams. I could see this going either way. I think it really comes down to, and not to just give a really football cliche, but I think it's probably going to be like a 65-yard run that somebody breaks off at some point in this game. That's going to be the difference, and I have more trust in that being Kerryon Johnson or even LeGarrette Blount than anybody on the Seattle side. I just think Detroit still has a few more weapons, and the fact that they're playing at home, all those kind of things add up, and I think that's worth 3 points for me.
Very good group of receivers in Detroit. Detroit's kind of a sneaky, interesting team.
Right, if they could figure it out.
Yeah, if they have that running game. I mean, we've spent so long watching Matt Stafford with really nothing, carrying that franchise. So now this is an opportunity to see what he's all about. Like, are you have the pieces around you. That defense, they have their issues, but should be good enough to keep them in games. And to this point, it's worked. I mean, 11 touchdowns, 1 interception over his last 5 games. So
is this the
pretty efficient?
Is this the first game? First full game? No, it's not. Is it?
Stafford's another guy too, where a lot of his stats have always been empty. Padding stats, late game situations.
I was going to mention the Earl Thomas thing, but did they miss him for an entire game already? Yeah, because he's played in 4 games. So
maybe. It might have been.
Oh wow. Time flies.
So,
in
there was
NFL
the
season.
Raiders game where they held the Raiders to 3 points, but I think that's more of an indictment
Right.
on the Raiders
Yeah, that's
than
true.
anything. And then there was the Rams.
The Rams game. So yeah, that's.
And good luck going against the Rams
Right.
at this point.
I don't know. I just like the fact that Wilson's playing good football right now, and I'm gonna go. If you're giving me points with Russell Wilson, I'll take it.
I tell you what, I will say this: after we've crapped all over the game, crapped all over the week, said these teams are average at best or whatever, or I guess they're not average, so maybe above average. This has a chance to be a pretty decent game.
I think in terms of
Second tier of the NFC.
Yeah, there are playmakers on both sides of the football for each team. I could see this game being a little bit of a shootout. What did I say? 49.5 was the number right now. I might be leaning toward the over here.
Well, I think I would definitely lean towards the over.
I like that.
Cool.
Two
All
great quarterbacks, average defenses. Yeah.
Speaking of two great quarterbacks, jury's out one of them. Yeah. One of them's definitely great. We got the Green Bay Packers. This is a 4:25 game. The Packers head west to start a brutal stretch of their schedule. Packers, coming off the bye, head to Los Angeles to take on the Rams. The Rams currently sit as 9-point favorites. Just for a quick mention, the Packers go to the Patriots next week. So like I said, tough little run right here. Rams 9-point favorites over the Packers. This is the highest spread, the most points Aaron Rodgers has been an underdog for as a starting quarterback in his career. This is, you get the Packers, who are 3-2-1, second place in the North, going up against that 7-0 Rams team that is by far, I would say, the best team in football. I mean, I guess you can make the case for the Chiefs or even for the Patriots, but until we see
the Chargers. Okay.
Okay. Well.
By nearly every measure.
Well, the Rams
Yeah.
beat the Chargers.
And
Anyway,
like not even just like the regular numbers when you look at them, but like we've talked a lot about Pro Football Focus and
Right,
them really
they're
getting
like
their
number
mitts
one.
on
It's
things.
across the
And
board
if
in
you
everything.
sort through like
Yeah.
the advanced metrics of it, they are far and away
top
the best.
3 at least. And
It's
like
pretty
everything.
insane.
So they're good. They're really good. But yet, total sets at 57 right now. So expecting a high-scoring game, which I think is probably in line with what people expect. 64% of the bets coming in on the Packers so far. I think I saw this game up to, I think it opened at 9.5. I think it even got up to 10, and now it's back down to 9. So that kind of tells you where things have gone with the betting here. Like I said, a big spread for a Packers team that needs to get hot right now. Andre, what do you see happening here?
I think the Rams ultimately win the game, but I think the Packers cover. I think they keep it within the score. Green Bay's coming off a bye, which I know you love these stats, Mike. You love the bye trends. 8-2-2 against the spread since 2006 after a bye week. One of those losses was last year when Deshaun Kaiser was quarterback. So I'm not really going to count that. So only one loss in the last, since 2006?
Well, it would have been Brett Hundley.
It was one of those guys. Crappy quarterback.
Well, they didn't have Deshaun Kaiser last year, so.
Oh, that's right. You're
Yeah.
right. Brett Hundley. Regardless, it was
Right,
not Aaron
yeah,
Rodgers.
he stinks too.
Yeah, they both stink. Aaron Rodgers only one pick this year. He's still great. And the Green Bay Packers are the only team in the NFL that is in the top 11 in yards per play and yards allowed per play. It's awesome.
I do that every week too, and it still befuddles me to see them. They're like up near the top in net points or yards per play.
Yeah, and they're going to keep this close. I think the Rams win the game. And the Rams, they've allowed points this year. They allowed 31 to Minnesota, 31 to Seattle. I think Aaron Rodgers gets his. Something crazy happens late in the game. Rams win like 35-30, something like that.
That stat about the bye, like not only is that just a good stat to throw out there, but that's a very advantageous bye for them. This comes at the perfect opportunity. They needed that bye.
Because you get the Patriots next week.
The least healthy player they have right now is Rodgers.
Exactly. Yeah. So they needed that, and I think it helps them. I think this is
it's good
an
analysis. Opportunity
for it's an opportunity for him to sort of rest a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. He didn't practice Tuesday. What's today? Tuesday. So he didn't practice Tuesday. Or he wasn't seen early. But again, it hasn't mattered. He hasn't practiced in a while. I think the more important stuff, to your point, is the other guys getting healthy too.
So
sorry.
No, I'm with you. It's a lot of points.
It is a lot of points.
It's a lot of points for a team that you mentioned has it's had struggles. They've been favored by at least 6.5 points in each of their games this season. The Rams.
It's crazy.
2-4 against the spread. So it's not as good as they have been.
Yeah.
It's it's not been impossible to cover against them. So I'm with you. I think the Rams win this game. But I think Packers do just enough to keep it within a touchdown or so. Obviously, a lot of that depends on Aaron Rodgers just going out and sort of slinging it. I hate betting against him when I'm getting this many points. It's just I can't find a reason to to roll with the Rams.
Aaron Rodgers never thrown an interception against the Wade Phillips defense. I think it's
saw that.
10 touchdowns, no interceptions. That being said, I'm taking the Rams because I have seen absolutely nothing.
You're just doing this for reverse
No.
jinx.
I unlike you guys, I watched every minute of the Packers. I don't imagine you have.
Well, I watched Red Zone.
So
it's national TV.
right, that's not every minute.
It's not. You watch every-
I've seen absolutely nothing from this team this season that makes me think they can go on the road, even on a bye, and give a very good team a game.
But it's going to be a West Coast home game, though, for them.
It is. No, I know. But, all right. So, I mean, first of all, Packers, 2-7 against the spread in their last 9 games. You can, excuse that away as the Aaron Rodgers injury, but what are we? They played 6 games this season, so a lot of that is more recently with him under center, and I guess that even goes back to the Carolina game last year when he came back and they lost. They're 1-4 against the spread in the last 5 road games. Here's the thing. They've played 2 road games this year. They've played at Washington. They played at Detroit. They've trailed by an average of 22 points at halftime. They were down 28-10 and 24-0 at half in their 2 road games this season. You get down by 21 points against the Rams going into halftime, you're losing by 35. Like, they're not coming back. And that's the thing. They came back and they made it somewhat close. In the Washington game, they had a tough turnover late that cost them, I think it was. And they got within 8 against Detroit. But like I said, this is not the same team. The Rams are much better than that. You look at the fact that LA has these I talked about the first half scoring average last week. The Rams at home averaging 22.7 points per game in the first half at home. They start fast. They start quick. There's nothing in the Packers game planning or Mike McCarthy's competence, general level of competence, that makes me think they're going to be ready to go. We saw it last week at home against San Francisco and CJ Beathard. The spot this is a get-right spot with the bye week looming, perfect spot for them. They had to fight and claw their way to win that game, and that included getting absolutely punked on the first drive. That happened the entire game. The 49ers ran all over the Packers, 174 rushing yards. And that's, certainly not on the same level of offensive threat that the Rams and Todd Gurley are. So I just think that this thing's going to get ugly. I don't know.
It's like convincing me now.
At a certain point, like Rodgers is great. The thing is, 9 points is a lot with Aaron Rodgers because he could. I mean, they could lose by 8. You know what I mean? Where they're driving down the field, they're getting their asses kicked the entire game, and they just score that one late touchdown that it's basically garbage time that gets them within the number. Then they kick the onside kick, whatever. So it's tough, but again, I can't see this game being close. I really can't. Wow. The Packers defense, I thought it was better than we talked about this 2 weeks ago. It looks good. Some of the numbers look good, but they've been gashed at times on the ground. So
what's up with their running game? Like the usage of Aaron Jones.
McCarthy's a boob. What do you want? I don't.
Is there any doubt whatsoever that he's the most explosive option in that backfield, and yet
McCarthy continues to say McCarthy wants to use all 3 of them, whether it's Ty Montgomery, Jamal Williams, or Aaron Jones. And I understand the idea of trying to have balance among those 3.
And I guess you each have your strengths. I mean, you would have Montgomery and
Williams Williams looked pretty good on Monday night. Jones had the worst game of his season, despite having an increase in volume. So maybe McCarthy isn't a total boob, but no, he's by far their most explosive player. I expect
you would just think if you're trying to overcompensate for something you're lacking in the passing game, whether it be because of Aaron Rodgers' injury or other injuries, on that offense, that you would rely on a guy like that to maybe give you a spark. It's
so frustrating as a Packers fan when you look at what the Patriots can do with their running backs out of the backfield. I mean, Aaron Jones should have 150 yards every week, but all purpose. But it's not going to happen. So,
moving on.
Anyway, we'll go to Sunday night. This is a good Sunday night game.
It's a really good game.
NFC Championship rematch not championship, NFC Divisional round. Excuse me. The New Orleans Saints. This should have been the champion. Well, I guess the Eagles wouldn't have made the Super Bowl. And they went on to win the Super Bowl, but this felt like a bigger game than it actually was in hindsight. The Saints go to Minnesota to take on the Vikings. Vikings 4-2-1, first place in the NFC North. The Saints 5-1, first place in the NFC South after a big win last week in Baltimore. Thanks to Justin Tucker. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah, the Vikings still 1-point favorites here against a team that, I don't know. It's just, actually, I'm interested in getting your guys' opinion on this. I was going to say, it seems like the Saints are a better team, but we're not
Two best teams in the NFC beyond the Rams?
Yeah, I guess so. It's weird because, I guess this is kind of what I was going to get at. It's when we came into the season, the NFC looked so top-heavy. It looked like a very good conference. Now it's the Rams, and then everybody else. And it feels like the gap between the Rams and everybody else is increasing. So I think this is a big game for both of these teams to kind of prove that they're the second best team. So
yeah, these teams have had sort of their issues at times.
Yeah,
especially the Vikings. You look across the NFL, the Falcons, I think everybody thought would be a lot better than they were. Obviously, injuries ravaged their season.
Ricky, what do you think here?
I'm going to roll with the Saints in this one. Vikings have a couple injuries on their defense that I'm not sure how it's going to impact this week, but you got a Pro Bowl and Anthony Barr and Xavier Rhodes banged up last week. That's kind of on top of the issues you already have along the defensive line with Linval Joseph being questionable. Everson Griffin's already been out for a few weeks now. I just look at the Saints as well. Much has been made of Patrick Mahomes, what he's doing in Kansas City, what Jared Goff's doing for the Rams, Aaron Rodgers is doing his thing. Drew Brees has been awesome this year. Absolutely awesome. And a big reason for that, obviously, is the fact that they are protecting the quarterback. Saints have allowed the second fewest sacks this season with 9, fifth in opponent sack percentage. I think they give him time to throw this Sunday against the Vikings defense, who, listen, there's been improvements on the defensive side in spite of those injuries. But let's face it, they faced 2 rookie quarterbacks back-to-back weeks in Josh Rosen and Sam Darnold. So I just don't see them having the same type of success this week. And also, Kirk Cousins, it's been great, but he scares me in the big game. I mean, we've seen time and time again where he gets to that prime time, you're looking for that sort of signature win from him, and you just never get it. So I trust the Saints a little bit more so than I trust the Vikings, even though they are on the road.
Yeah, you look at Kirk Cousins, you talk about big games. I agree with you, Ricky. I'm going with the Saints. Cousins is going to be forced to throw the ball a ton in this game. I don't like the Vikings running game. They're 27th in rushing yards per game, and they're going up against the best rush defense in football. The New Orleans Saints, best rush defense in football, allowing 3.1 yards per carry. That's number 1 in the league. They're going to stop their run. They're going to force Cousins to throw a lot. Cousins is going to throw the ball a ton in this game, and when he throws the ball 40 or more times in the game, he's 5, 15, and 2 in his career. And which is surprising. Cousins has been involved in 2 ties in his career. That's shocking.
Trivia.
And you talked about Drew Brees as well. He's a great quarterback. Still the only quarterback in the NFL with no interceptions this year. Vikings defense allows 8.2 yards per pass attempt. That's 5th most in the league. This might be a blowout, guys. Might be a blowout.
When you watch Drew Brees,
and you know how angry Drew Brees is from last year's game? He's probably very angry from that.
This is a revenge game.
He should be in the NFC Championship. The Saints haven't forgotten that.
Interesting. It sounds like Saints, just real quick, getting Eli Apple.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Marshawn Lattimore coming off probably his best game of the season. And we'll see what Eli Apple adds to this team, but they could use a little help in pass coverage, so why not?
Yep. Like, you watch Drew Brees, does he ever look great?
Yeah.
It's so weird. I don't know. I just watched a lot of that Baltimore game. It's like he makes the plays. He's obviously the numbers speak for themselves, but it just doesn't maybe it's because he's shorter. I don't know what it is, but it just never looks as like dominant as Brady or Rodgers or whatever, or Mahomes, obviously. I mean, it's nothing against him. It's actually a testament to him that I don't know. I just look at it doesn't look as like sharp or NFL quarterback. I know. I'm not arguing with the results.
Sort of amazing,
I'm just saying like
watching him play these last couple of years, like stylistically. And I think a lot of it, too, is just the personnel around him.
Yeah.
But it almost feels like when a starting pitcher has to reinvent himself.
That's what I'm saying, yes.
Because
he doesn't
have the velocity that he once had.
And that's the thing.
He's sort of doing it now, and he's almost better because of it.
And again, it's a tangent, but like that's the issue that people have with like a team like the Packers is that they haven't done a good enough job kind of ushering Rodgers into the next part of his career.
This is what they should be doing.
Right, and I think Rodgers still has better talent and obviously physical tools than Brees does. But yes, they've put him in a perfect spot where he could still hit the deep ball if it's wide open, but he's much more reliant on Kamara getting him big yards here and there. They've done a great job getting some possession receivers in there and things like that. So I'm really attesting.
They had like an all-time draft last year.
Yeah, right.
I don't think that's a knock on Brees though. I think every team should be doing that.
Sure. Yeah, I'm just saying like I watched Drew Brees and I know the numbers add up to something that is elite. And I'm not saying he doesn't look elite. It just looks different than everybody else. It's
Is this why you're taking the Vikings?
I am taking the Vikings, yeah. No, it has nothing to do with Brees. I just thought that was something I noticed last week. I wasn't sure if I was an idiot. And I am an idiot, but for other reasons. I'm taking the Vikings. I think the Vikings do move the ball to the air pretty well because that's pretty much what everyone's done against New Orleans. Go back last week. New Orleans needs a big stop on the road to kind of ice that game. And Joe Flacco marches right down the field on them, scores a touchdown with ease. Tucker makes that kick, who knows what happens in that game. I don't like that they've been so susceptible to giving up yards through the air. This is an interesting stat. The Saints have allowed 1,250 yards to receivers this season. That's 8th in the NFL. That doesn't seem that bad, right? 8th, whatever. It's not the most. All 7 teams ahead of them have played 7 games this season. They've only played 6. So they've got a whole game on the rest of the competition there. They'd probably be up closer to 1 most yards allowed if they had played 7 games. I mentioned this last week, and this is still, I feel so stupid saying it, but New Orleans is allowing the most fantasy receiving points per game. So
I don't think that's stupid. I don't know why you always say that.
I just feel like it's, I don't know. Yeah, it's a defense mechanism, just to qualify that, because I think that people are like, oh, fantasy, this is real football or whatever, watch the game. But no, it just tells you that they give up volume stats to receivers, and they have they're going up against one of the best volume receivers in football right now. Adam Thielen, obviously unguardable at this point. 100 yards at least in every game this season. He's got a touchdown in 5 of 7 games. I think he has a big game here. You only get, basically, I'm just picking the Vikings to win this game because of the 1 point, so I'll take that. I just think the Saints 2 back-to-back road games against pretty tough teams. I think maybe that catches up to them late Sunday night. So I don't know. And I also like that I'm kind of fading the public here after last week. Whatever.
Going up against 2 tough defenses too. You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like, you go from Baltimore to Minnesota
right.
like that.
Yeah.
This is a hard-fought game. Those are teams you look at on your schedule and like, oh crap, like, it's a little bit of a dogfight back-to-back weeks.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
All right, let's do locks, Andre.
I got the Colts over the Raiders. Do I need to say more? Derek Carr, when he's pressured.
What a game.
And Colts have a good pass rush this year. They're 4th in sacks with 21. And the Raiders don't get any pressure on their quarterback. They have one of the worst opponent sack percentage at 3.7%. And you talk about the Raiders not getting pressure. When Andrew Luck isn't pressure, his completion percentage jumps 14 percentage points, and his passer rating jumps nearly 30 points, according to Pro Football Focus. And Derek Carr, in the same stat, when he is pressured, which he will be by the Colts, his passer rating is 38. When he's kept clean, it's like 90 points higher, or 70 points higher, with 107. So he's a different quarterback when he's pressured. I'll take the Colts. I think Colts are better than their record, 2-5.
Yeah, I've seen people, there's a lot of chatter, like they might still be the favorite to win that division.
I can see them coming back in that crappy division.
They're another team, let's be like saying pain in the ass. Like last year, it's kind of a continuation of last year. They felt like they led every game at halftime last year, and then would fall down the stretch.
You got pass rush this year, though.
All right, I'm going with the Bears, 7-point favorites over the Jets. Bears back-to-back losses to the Dolphins and Patriots. I think this is an opportunity for them to kind of get right, though, against a Jets team that is still susceptible to turning the ball over. Sam Darnold, 10 interceptions. Bears second in the NFL with a +7 turnover differential. 17 turnovers overall. 11-4-1 against the spread in the last 16 home games. I don't like the fact that Khalil Mack has still been kind of a non-factor the last 2 weeks, especially this past Sunday. But I just think this is an opportunity going up a Jets team that sometimes struggles to run the ball, in which case you're relying a lot on your rookie quarterback. So could see some mistakes there. This one could get away from him.
Right on. I got the Thursday night game. I'm going to take the Houston Texans. You talk about the AFC South. The Texans looking for their 5th straight win out of nowhere, it seems. They're at home against the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins come into this one. Let me see here. Sorry, I just had this open. Dolphins ranked 25th in passing yards per game at 222 passing yards per contest. Now they're without Kenny Stills, probably. They're definitely without Albert Wilson. Brock Osweiler, the Brocket ship, will not engage Thursday night. It's a tough, short week on the road against a team that has at least on paper, a good defense. I don't know how that Texans defense has been compared to the expectations so far this season, but when you're preparing for a one-dimensional team on a Thursday night, a short week at home, I like your chances. So I'm not crazy about that half point, but I will take the Texans to stay hot against the banged-up Dolphins.
Did you hear what Clowney said about Brock Osweiler?
No.
He said, he's not here anymore, so I don't really care for him. We didn't win a lot with him. Trying to go against him now, trying to get him rattled in the pocket.
Well, that was going to be another point, too. Is that,
care about it.
O'Brien is more of an offensive-minded coach,
soundbite.
But O'Brien at least knows.
We didn't win a lot with him.
Also, OddsShark's, what do they call this? Their supercomputer or whatever, the prediction computer thingy, expects this to be a 34-12 game. Yikes.
That computer is very, it's got hot takes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, their like projected score for a lot of games, they'll be like, this team's going to win by 24 points.
It's been on fire.
Like, wow.
This is going to be a blowout.
Yeah. Like,
I think they've been on fire recently, though, so I'm riding the hot hand. Upsets, Ricky.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, getting 4.5 points against the Cincinnati Bengals. Only 3 teams have more yards per play than the Bucs this season: Chiefs, Rams, Chargers. I think those numbers are off a little bit because there was that weird run at the beginning of the season with Ryan Fitzpatrick. But they still can put up points, and this is a Cincinnati team that struggled defensively, obviously against the Chiefs last week. But even before that, the Pittsburgh game, not great at tackling, giving up some big plays. So maybe that happens in this one. And maybe the Bucs defense is a little bit better now. Firing the defensive coordinator Mike Smith last week. Ended up allowing a season-low 305 yards to the Browns, so maybe there's something there. I don't know. I still think there's not enough talent on that defense for them to really be all that good. But if this turns into a shootout, maybe the Bucs squeak by.
I'll take Jacksonville over Philadelphia in London. It's a neutral site. The Jaguars getting 3 points. Blake Bortles, last 3 seasons in London, 3-0. Jaguars have scored 36 points per game in those 3 games. And his TD to interception ratio is 8-1. Blake Bortles likes to play in London.
Maybe that's why they're hanging on to him in
Sir
case they
Blake
relocate.
Bortles, yeah.
Banking on that London relocation.
Yeah, the London Jaguars.
We have our guy. Let's not get rid of him.
And Jaguars also 6th in yards per play differential. Eagles 26th in that same category. Eagles are not very good this year. Jaguars, I think they'll bounce back in this. They're not good on the road, but they're not on the road. They're in London.
Well, it's still the road.
No, but it's Sir Blake Bortles.
Right.
He's good there.
Yeah, there's a good chance that when our picks on Nesson.com go up, I don't make this pick, but this has been it was a tough week for upsets, so I'm going to take Carolina as 2-point home underdogs against Baltimore.
I actually thought of that one too.
Yeah, I think Baltimore might have tough week last week. I don't know if there's some sort of emotional letdown after getting so close to getting back into that game, only to have Tucker miss the extra point for the first time in his entire career. Which way do they go after this? It sucked too because I had the Ravens last week and I felt good, and I was like, right back in this, and then nope. The most reliable kicker on the planet misses the extra point.
Maybe the history of the NFL.
By the way, he got his first lock of the week, correct? Chiefs.
Oh, great job.
Onward and upward.
Carolina, five straight home wins. So if we're getting points at home, they're 6-2 over the last 8 home games as well. Baltimore defense a little worse on the road. Again, I'm just grasping at straws.
I really like that pick.
Thanks.
Who did I take? Who was my lock?
Chiefs over Bengals.
They
45.
They want them, yeah. All right, let's get out of here. Let's go watch baseball. Anything else? No.
You liking the World Series?
Oh yeah.
I'll take Boston in 5.
Yeah, the play here isn't, from a gambling standpoint, isn't to take, if you're going to take the Red Sox, is stay away from the money line and just try to pick out the game. Yeah, I think I remember it's like 4-1 for game 6.
Kershaw gets crushed today.
Really?
Tuesday, yeah. I just think I have feeling.
First
game at Fenway.
I don't know. I guess I'm taking the Red Sox in 6 because I'm not, I don't know anything about Chris Sale right now.
Yeah,
well, what has he pitched, 4 innings in the last 3 weeks or something? I don't know. You don't know.
I'm going to say 6. They celebrated home for the first time this postseason.
Oh, yeah. It's true. Cool. Great. All right. Those are our baseball picks. Let's go get out of here. This has been the SpreadNesson.com's Football Picks Podcast. We'll be back again next week. See you later.
Hey!